Hello, hello, hello. This April Fool's Eve, kind of late tonight for a Green Dragon, but hey, we were kind of feeling like doing some free thought, speaking our minds, talking about issues dealing with the First Amendment and the assault on and thereof, our right to speak our minds freely and openly. When in what's supposed to be a free republic, but is turning into something quite different. Benjamin Franklin stated that um, those who would give up liberty um, for security deserve neither and will get neither. And I see a lot of that going on now, and I really don't like what I'm seeing. You can see them pushing your rights, your God-given rights to speak your mind, to speak freely, and to have the right to do such. As long as you're not inciting violence and trying to attack anybody, you're supposed to have the right to do this. But yet, all over the place, you're seeing them arresting people for clearly just speaking their mind, and then yet they're on the other hand they're ignoring people that are calling for violence because they're on their political side of the aisle. This is horrible. This is wrong, and it's more and more frustrating to watch as somebody that understands the intentions of the founding fathers when dealing with freedom of speech. Benjamin Franklin also stated that those who go ahead, Saints. I'm breaking up here for a minute. I'm getting some feedback.
No, you're right. Everybody's kind of being reserved in their opinion now, and it really was never supposed to be like that. When you see a wrong, you need to call a wrong, but people are really holding their tongue, and when issues are coming up in their face, they won't reject or sound off to what's happening until it just gets absolutely out of control. But
Benjamin. I'm sorry, guys. Benjamin Franklin stated that those who would overthrow liberty must first begin with the freedom of speech, and that's exactly what's going on. You know, you can see them trying to attack your rights and twist them, and all at the same time they're going after every other right. You know, you have no Fourth Amendment, you have no Third Amendment, no Second Amendment, no Sixth Amendment, yada yada yada, right down the line. When we have a nation that's supposed to have borders and sovereignty, and then you look in the news and you see them openly bragging about imposing UN law in this country. And if people need an example out there in the chat tonight, all you have to do is Google search the attack on Gibson Guitar. Yes, Gibson Guitar was actually charged with a crime that's actually a crime in India, not America. And the UN came and charged them. They raided Gibson Guitar, folks, at gunpoint over Rosewood because
yep,
an American company was working Rosewood. It's this is this is how they're picking us apart, slowly but surely, because we the people, good men, are refusing to do nothing. Samuel Adams stated, "Mankind are governed by more by their feelings than by reason," and that's what you see going on. Would you like to interject, Saints?
yeah, that's kind of crazy that the international law, there are no boundaries anymore. They'll come after you, the bigger corporations, and it'll even get better when they fully implement the TPP and uh, claim copyright on images and names, and every time you put down you type somebody's name, you get taxed a dime or a nickel for using their name. It's really, and it's not just in spoken print or like spoken words that they prosecute you. They'll get you on print too. It's just like Dinesh D'Souza the other day made a statement that he went to a federal prison for writing a book about Obama, and now he's getting ready, or he has released his book on Hillary. He made a remark. How much time is he going to get for that? So, yeah.
Right. I see some folks out there. Thanks for joining us today. I guess I'll go ahead and do a shout out real quick because we're not really good at that anyway. Dr. Dave, how you doing? Partisan Gorilla, Politically Incorrect, Mr. Tomo Boy 9, J Watt. What's up, J Watt? Who else we got out there? Yeah, that's all I'm seeing really right now, which is cool. Cool. Thank you guys for joining us. It's nice to be among friends. We ran a little bit. I don't know, Saints. What other issues do you have to bring about the First Amendment?
Well, it's all coming down. If they say the only thing that protects the First Amendment is the Second Amendment, and they've kindly, I don't know that I've seen them cool their heels on that, but they're kindly reining in trying to rein in the First Amendment kind of hard, because you can say anything about anybody pretty much. I mean, like the example is these campaign rallies they're having. You've got an open line with a 4 to 5 foot gap between the two parties that are sitting there just verbally bashing one another. Just, and it's hate, man. It's hatred. I hate you. Trump is terrible. Bernie is terrible. Blah blah blah, back and forth at each other, and that's okay as long as you're bashing the candidates, but you better not say anything about authority. Oh no, that's a no. You can't question or say anything about authority, and
Right.
wrong is wrong, no matter which direction it comes from.
That's some good points right there, man. And as George Washington stated, the Second Amendment is second to the First Amendment only in importance. It is the people's liberty's teeth. American writer H.I. Mencken stated, "The most dangerous man to any government is the man who is able to think things out for himself. Almost inevitably, he comes to the conclusion that the government he lives under is dishonest, insane, and intolerable." With the advancements in technology, the smartphones, the mass media, 24 hours a day, news networks and shit. You have basically a society that's living under a form of technocratical propaganda, or technologically advanced propaganda for the first time in history that actually has teeth. It really does, folks. And as George Orwell stated, political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. These motherfuckers, they want to turn everything upside down on its head so they can literally brainwash you into accepting anything. Accepting, oh, well, that other subsect of the population is they're bad. They believe in God-given rights. They don't believe in government-given rights. So therefore, we need to eliminate them out of the population. They're dangerous. They're nutcakes.
Instead of one nation under God, that's going to be one continent or one world under Baal.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And for all, if there's any libtards out there, which I doubt there is, which is unfortunate, because I wish we could get them in here so we could share some ideas with them and have some conversations of real meaning, and maybe they would see that we're not fucking kooky conspiracists that Dr. Dave likes to call us. No, I'm just playing. I love Dr. Dave. Martin Luther King stated, "Our only hope today lies in our ability to recapture the revolutionary spirit and go into a sometimes hostile world, declaring eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism." So I guess I'm a racist for quoting Martin Luther King. I'm bad. Sorry, guys. Apologize now.
Yeah, I'm not much on quotes, but I found one here that kind of hit me pretty good. Like I said, I don't quote a lot. Restrictions of free thought and free speech is the most dangerous of all subversions. It is the one un-American act that can most easily defeat us, and that was said by Supreme Court Justice William O. Douglas. And that's about as high as you go in the legal world there on
Right.
call.
The the and we really should pay attention to that, because the precedent that they're trying to set, the narrative that they're trying to set in the media, this technologically advanced propagandized media, is that, hey, the Supreme Court sets rules. They've ruled. The Supreme. Think about what they say. They use words against you, folks. They right there in their own words, they hide the meaning that is going after you. When the Supreme Court and the media issues a decision, what do they say? They go. The Supreme Court has ruled today. They don't rule us, folks. There's no ruling here. The Supreme Court offers opinion. And if the opinion the Supreme Court offers goes against the Constitution, which it has done several times throughout history, it is null and void. That is how the Constitution is defined and set up. But yet this propagandized military attack that's going on in this country, mixed with the socialist communist takeover of the fucking intellectual groups and and excuse me for using bad language so much, but hey, my grandfather was a sailor and I learned young. Um, with the advancements in this, they really, really got us by the balls, folks. With this propaganda, they're brainwashing everybody. They got us attacking each other, divide and conquer. They're dividing this nation to conquer us, and without a shot being fired. You have communist corporations, foreign fucking communist corporations. Communists, folks, if you don't know, they're still drowning babies, unwanted babies, or undesirables. They're still shooting people, political enemies, in the back of the head. Look up the statistics on how many people the Chinese communists execute, and then look up the statistics on how many babies were estimated to be murdered under the Chinese regime under their one-child policies. It's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And then you watch this military propagandized fucking media attacking you with this. Oh, the communists are great, and oh, this trade deal with the communist and that trade deal communist. Ooh, ooh, ooh! It's so awesome. All it's doing is design. It's designed to make you feel like you're free and that you're winning. It's nothing. It's the same thing as watching the football game and the baseball game. They want you thinking you're free. They want you think you're winning. It's Dr. Joseph Mengele stated, "The more we do to you, the less you seem to believe we are doing it." And that's true. It's fucking true. You can watch what's going on. The more and more that they attack us with all this crazy shit and turn our society and our political system and our way of life upside down, you see more and more sheeple running to the charge to save them.
Well, they're trying to do a split. They've got a scare campaign going on out there now, and a hate label campaign. So these ranchers that they've got, for lack of better words, corralled up in solitary confinement in these little closets, uh, so they can set. They've got to demonize them to the fullest, and then they can go back and try to blanket or not really rewrite, but redefine what these people, them and their actions, so they can attack more against the First Amendment and attack the Second Amendment, and and once they get their precedent set, it's like an article I read today where they're part of it. They're going after Santilli is because Santilli actually, they're saying now that he was doing a call to arms, which uh, that would, they're going to define that as if you do a call to arms. That's not freedom of speech. You're actually calling up for a violent act against authority. And so now, in the future, if you say do a call to arms or call somebody to come to your rescue, you may be guilty of threats against the powers that be and be prosecuted duly for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about precedent setting. You can see one after another they're setting using that weapon, which is the mainstream media, all the radio communications, all the leaflets, the little personal attacks and ad hominem attacks they put in the fucking nightly TV shows against conspiracy theorists or people that think outside the box or gun owners or whatever. You can see it going on. Or crazy Christians, the attack on what? There's millions of Christians being killed altogether. If you add up over the last 15, 20 years, dude, they're persecuting Christians like no other. And I'm no hardened religious person, but what the hell? Where's the rights activist? Where's the Pope? Why isn't the president talking about it? It's ridiculous. This is bullshit. It just shows you that they're turning our societies upside down. And if you believe in God-given rights, period, we could argue about this and that and blah blah blah, but it comes down to if you believe that God gave you your right and his rights, and as long as you're not hurting nobody, you should be free and left alone. Well, I got news for you folks. Monarchies, money changers, Federal Reserve people, presidents, these cocksuckers don't want that. They don't want that one bit. They don't want you to be free. Propaganda is a cell is excuse me folks. Propaganda is a soft weapon. Hold it in your hand too long and it will move about like a snake and strike the other way. Jean Anulia, 1952, which I have no idea who that is. I don't claim to know who it is, but I'm probably butchering the last name also. But in itself, that's an interesting quote because that's exactly what's going on. This propaganda weapon got too strong too fast. It woke too many of us up, and it's turned it back on us. That's the only reason guys like me and you and everybody else is here, because we snapped out of it. We realized that, hey, wait a minute. Our government, which is supposed to be morally just, is justifying torturing people. And those people that know and follow what's going on, they know exactly what I'm talking about. When you have reports of them, putting little kids' balls in vice grips and smashing them in front of terrorists, so-called quote-unquote terrorists. I mean, that's what our country's become? That's what you're protecting? This is...
That's just sick, immoral people right there. They're not loyal to anything but their, their person that puts their crumbs out, that feeds them their bread and water, whatever. That's who their allegiance lies with.
Supreme Court. Sorry,
go ahead. Mate.
I was just going to add that the Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black in 1945 stated the First Amendment rests on the assumption that the widest possible dissemination of information from diverse and antagonistic sources is essential to the welfare of the public, that a free press is a condition of a free society. In other words, a free press is the sine qua pro of the entire American Constitution and Republican experiment. I'm butchering words tonight. I'm excited. Sorry, guys. I mean, I think at this point, dude, the evidence is in. There's been a coup of this government. There's a coup in the mainstream media. Everybody in the mainstream media, which is what we're talking about, the First Amendment, are criminals, and we should call them criminals. They're butchering everything that our country and the way of life was in this country was supposed to be, and it's not right.
They're handed an agenda to follow, and in order to keep their pole position in the race, they've got to follow that agenda. And I still say, is news really the news if you have to ask permission to tell it?
Exactly, man. Sherlock Holmes in the book A Scandal in Bohemia of 1891, written in 1891, stated, "It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts." Isn't that kind of interesting? That's what they're doing. They're getting people to do that, exactly. To twist, to use secondhand knowledge, parroted information as facts. And that's why you got all this disinformation that you're constantly arguing with. You tell somebody that the Gulf of Tonkin was a lie. You tell them that it didn't happen, that they faked it so they could justify invading Vietnam after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, who did not want to invade Vietnam, but Lyndon Johnson still got his war. He's actually on tape. You guys can go to the National Archives of the U.S. .gov and see right there for your own self. Listen to the tapes of LBJ talking to fucking General McNamara discussing, the whole Gulf of Tonkin incident. It's that just shows you the power of propaganda right there, because this type of information comes out, but they don't change history. They don't change the history books. They don't start telling kids about it and talking about it. No, they just still go with the lie. They still push the lie on the people, because those who are the victors write history, right? And that's what's going on, apparently, because it's right there in front of our face.
Well, for a little over 200 years, eyes have been on the Constitution of the United States, and it's a strong document. It's a real strong document. It's been watched so closely that they've not been able to change it. You know, the first few that were written in stone, they are so strong that people watch them with an eagle's eye to make sure that they're not changed or infringed upon. And it's a constant fight to keep people beat back away from it. Unlike other things that have been changed through time, like example, the Bible. People talk about the Bible being changed, taking chapters taken out and parts added and written by men. Well, the Constitution's written by men too, and it's a young document, and people need to keep their eyes on it and make sure it stays the way it was meant to be written and unchanged. You got to stand strong. If you stand for anything, you better stand for it, to make sure they don't rewrite it or redefine it the way it was supposed to be.
Robert Reich, in January 7th, 1999, in USA Today, stated, "The dirty little secret is that both houses of Congress are irrelevant. America's domestic policy is now being run by Alan Greenspan and the Federal Reserve. America's foreign policy is now being run by the International Monetary Fund. When the president decides to go to war, he no longer needs a declaration of war from Congress." That was in 1999 in the USA Today journal. People are not paying attention. They're locked in this fucking illusionary world of trinkets and baubles and their smartphones and these fucking stupid TV shows that demonize free thinkers daily. They want you worried about all this other shit instead of seeing what the writing on the wall.
People are so engulfed now that I actually heard tell the other day of a law to where they're trying to pass it where you cannot be texting and walking in public or something. I don't know. I know it's against the law to text and drive, but I think somebody made a mention on a radio news deal where they were considering in some places don't be on the sidewalk walking and texting at the same time.
Right. Exactly.
It's crazy. It is just out of control.
And I'm going to read this quote. It's rather long, but and most of you probably in here will see it, but hopefully somebody will watch this later and never heard who has never heard it. And it's by Rockefeller, our friend David Rockefeller, who loves us lovingly. Council on Foreign Relations Journal. It was written in June 1991. So it's out of a CFR journal. It's not a bullshit quote. It's this is supposedly out of the journal in June of 1991. I guess you'd have to go up and dig it out. All right, the quote goes, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years, folks. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years. But now the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. The supranational sovereignty is a key word there, folks, of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practiced in the past centuries. The evidence is there, people. You just have to look for it. You have to turn the TVs off. You have to turn the mainstream media off. Watch less football games. Watch less baseball games, and just see for yourself that we're being ruled. Because as we talked about in the beginning of this this chat, the Supreme Court sets rules. The Supreme Court has ruled. That's the terms that they use in the media. They don't rule you, people. They're through propagation and perpetuation. They're using words to brainwash you. They're making you think that you and confusing the meaning of our rights, our God-given rights. Um,
Yeah, Supreme Court also said it's better that you don't interact with police, and I try to take that to heart. I mean, not that I'm dissing anybody, but if
right.
Supreme Court says it, you probably need to not interact with police. So there you go.
Exactly, dude.
But it's everything, dude. It's not just the first. If they can get rid, to get rid of the first, it's gonna make people go to their media more, and the electronic communications. Well, now they've got that, and what you say is there forever, supposedly, and that comes from the top. The people that set it up, are telling you that whatever you say is there forever. If it's been transmitted over the line, they probably got a copy of it. So, and that covers everything from your intimate conversations with somebody that you care deeply about to your best pickup lines and everything else. They've got it.
Right.
You have no security and privacy in your, person, place, or persons.
And then what's crazy and shows you the level of the power of words, right? We had two sitting presidents, people. And if you know your history, you know what speeches I'm talking about, which most of you in the chat, I know who you are, so I know you know what I'm talking about. You got two speeches. You got Eisenhower's farewell address, and you got Kennedy's speeches, several Kennedy speeches right before he was shot. He was trying to warn people. He stated the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. He was directly talking about the media and talking about the powers that be trying to hide shit from the American people and how it was bad and how they were moving. What? Oh no, but they killed him from the book suppository. Magic bullet. These fucking retards, dude. I have no patience for people like this anymore. They're not using their critical thinking. They're parroting information. They're not looking at shit non-biasedly and trying to see all angles and sides of it.
Well, I want to shout out Dr. Dave there because he said this sounds like an episode of Coast to Coast. Well, they're pretty famous. Oh, Dr. Dave, he's just like Christmas. He's getting bigger and better every year.
Dave. Charles Mackay stated, men think in herds, go mad in herds, but recover their senses one by one. So, yeah, we are a few minority. And call us coast to coasters, whatever. Call us truthers or flat earthers, like Dave was talking about a few minutes ago. I don't really care. The bottom line is there's a race of people, or whatever you want to call them, that have an agenda on this planet to literally kill you. And it sounds wild, but they don't want you here. They don't want you here. The people that have all the money, have all the power, have all the control, do not want you sitting in the computer chair, eating tacos and eating pizza and drinking Kool-Aid
and breathing their air.
And breathing their air. Exactly.
Well, did we lose? I guess we lost our commentator there. Well, I'll do a shout out till he returns. Let's see. We got Truth Freezes out there. Stewart Design 101. Jay Watt and the Doc. PI, what's up, Don? Truth Freeze. Don, you want a link? We'll shoot you one out there. Solar Savage, he's out there. Let's see. Mr. Tommy Boy 9. Politically incorrect. I guess that's about it. Sparks out there. So we have lost one of our moderators. I think he'll probably try to pop back in and refresh. He may got too excited and got too much stuff going. But it's really people are struggling with it right now. But I know a lot of people are saying no. You know, when and they can say, well, do you know they're going to start doing this and doing that? And they're like, I'm not doing that. I think people have about had their fill, and they're just like, well, I don't care. I'm not doing that. They're refusing. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it's a good thing because people are getting their fill of it. And welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes my internet goes crazy. I don't know where the rant got cut off or whatnot. But, yeah.
I thought it might have been me for a minute. But continue on.
Oh, I don't even know where I was at now.
I did a little shout out there to who was out in the room. Tried to do a little rant. Oh, Jay Watt said I chased you off. No, Jay Watt.
Yeah, that whole.
But we're coming down to it's coming to a crunch time. I mean, another article I noticed posted today about Dave Hodges trying to get $1,500 out of the bank, cash money, and they gave him a fit about getting $1,500 out of the bank.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I most definitely think that they're moving towards that cashless society. They're going to have their banker holiday, and it'll be in the midst of war. People, don't get it twisted. They're going to do all their dirty shit, their real dirty stuff. If you believe you're going to be put in a camp for your political speech or because you're purple or whatever the fuck, it's coming. It'll happen during that time. It'll happen when they kick off the World War. They'll get everybody afraid and under the threat of a nuke. They'll probably set a fucking nuke off. Who knows? These psychopaths would do. Like I stated before, we have facts. They are facts. They're not conspiracy that have come out over the years that prove false flags do happen, and not just that they happen, but the governments, the tyrants that take over the governments. It's not necessarily the governments; it's the tyrants within the governments actually do pull off these false flags from time to time, and they do have control of the media, which is supposed to be there to hold their feet to the fire, to help them cover it up. So it is a very dangerous time in America's history to be alive and to be here on this earth watching this shit show, this Truman shit show that we're participating in unwillingly go on. This is fucking ridiculous. It's hypocrisy, which is why me and the gentleman Saints and Sappers is sitting here tonight, relieving some of our frustrations, exercising our freedom of speech before we're labeled seditionist by our state.
You still can. You better scream before you get pushed underwater and you can't scream anymore.
Because, yeah, exactly. That's what's coming. Because as we stated before, those who would overthrow liberty must first begin with the freedom of speech, Benjamin Franklin.
And you better believe that if anything happens, that the mainstream and the powers of authority are going to run out there and make their first statement and tell everybody exactly what happened so they can get their they can go ahead and get the storyline started. Don't believe the first thing comes out. Do your research, do your homework. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's just it, too. People will see an article, they'll click it. Sometimes they don't click it, they just parrot the headline. I'm guilty of it, too, sometimes. But at least I will acknowledge and not lie to the fact that I did not read the article. I will tell my friends or whoever I'm talking to that I did not read it. I just saw the headline. You'll see people that'll see the headline or click the link and look at the first paragraph in the article and then not even read a 3-page article. They'll just take the first paragraph and not know all the facts, not know, you know what I mean? They'll just try to themselves do a little brief synopsis and parrot the information.
Well,
And
I think all eyes ought to be on these people out in these there that they're railroading. All eyes need to be on them because if they slam them with 100-year prison sentence, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to scare everybody off that I can't go to prison for 100 years, or it's going to make them stand up and say, I'm not going to prison for 100 years. Not I can't go, is I'm not going.
and it's unjustly too. I mean, we should acknowledge that too. These are political prisoners. Our government is enacting in political prisoner attacks. They're doing it. Danesta D'Souza, if I'm probably not saying that name right either. If you guys know who that is, Google him. If not, you'll know that all he did was make a movie about Obama and he was put in jail. You know, it's ridiculous. This is it. This is them getting pissed off because, as Joseph Stalin stated, ideas are far more powerful than guns. We don't allow our enemies to have guns, then why should we allow them to have ideas? Words are powerful. They have, words that have meaning and have heart behind them, like freedom and liberty, are powerful. And that, which is why they don't like us up here on this soapbox speaking to whoever we speak to about liberty or truth. If we were sitting here talking about the
Well, I think we've lost Mr. Nugs. Mr. Nugs again. There, he's dropped out. I'm going to send out. Anybody want a link? Put it in the internal there, and I'll try to send out some links. Let some people see if they want to add their 2 cents to this conversation. Uh, Appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate y'all listening to the rant. Just, I think people are getting pushed up in a corner, and I don't know. They're just a lot of people are still got a blanket pulled up. I guess they're hoping they'll miss that first wave of abductions. I'm gonna call it. It may not be abductions, but there we go. Welcome, Mr. Politically Incorrect. Welcome back, Mr. Quasar Nugs.
Yeah, man, you guys are right. The First Amendment, I mean, the power of the pen is mightier than the sword. I mean, you think about it. For example, when they, when they send soldiers into war, into a operation or whatever, the pen sends them.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, who was it in World War II said that whoever controls the press controls the people?
Right. I'm sorry about that, guys. Again, apparently I can't have a good rant tonight. They're not going to let me.
There's hundreds and thousands of those quotes out there.
Well, it's an ongoing thing. That's the reason I said, that everybody keep your eyes on the Constitution. It's a young document, but it's our document.
Mic check.
And this sounds good. And it's what we were founded on. And if you keep a close eye on it, they can't change it. They can kind of try to redefine it, but that only goes so far. I mean, not infringed is not infringed.
Right.
I didn't know this, but my state 3 weeks ago legalized constitutional carry.
I
meant to bring that up to you, Don, and I totally spaced out the other day.
Don, I told you that the other day, and I think it went out. I think you were in something else, and it boom, it's gone.
Yeah, I was like, what? You know, I just looked at the information today. I was like, how in the hell did I miss that?
Yeah.
In Idaho, I guess passed it today. They're the ninth. That's good. We should help that. I think that's our representatives. You know, that's just another symptom of the sickness. You know, they're like saying, "Screw you."
Right. Well, it's great because the second's getting stronger, but they're trying to set precedents against the first out there in Oregon and Nevada. So I mean, it's just like they were saying. You know, they're going after Santilli, saying he did a call to arms. Well, is that anybody that tells anybody, "Hey, we need help"? You know, is that considered a call to arms now? I mean, it's up to their discretion. And a lot of people, like I said a while ago, again, a lot of people's not going, if they know they give those guys 100 years that never put up a fight, never took arms against anybody, if they're going to give them 100 years, I mean, do you think, are they going to come give everybody else 100 years to shut them up?
Well, I'm going to tell you, the next time it happens, they're going to see it to the conclusion. Then
That's what I'm thinking. A lot of people are not going to sit in a box. I mean, they would rather go to their maker, you know, and make peace wherever for a noble cause than sit in a jail cell for 100 years and be a feedlot animal.
well, set in jail for 20 years.
Absolutely.
You know, these men really didn't do much.
They didn't do nothing wrong to deserve jail time like they're
I
getting.
mean, my gosh, did they didn't threaten anybody. They just said that they would defend themselves.
They never even B&E'd the place.
Not once did they point a weapon at an officer. Not once did they threaten an officer's life. Not once did they.
No, it was they said the building was open and the keys were on the desk.
I mean, they had the keys to all the equipment. That's joyriding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking some misdemeanor offenses here.
Well, that's why I say they're probably gonna make witnesses or scapegoats out of them.
Oh, they're trying just like the $6 million cleanup.
Hmm.
Huh, whatever.
The
Let me
whole
tell you
place,
something.
including
I
the
could
equipment.
tear that whole place down.
Yeah, well, the equipment, track hose, and everything else probably, when the building's included, probably wasn't worth $6 million.
No, you could have tore the whole place down, packed it off to the landfill, and saved freaking $5 million. They're so full of shit. That's just more government propaganda. That's all
Well,
that is.
that's exactly what it is, and they've legalized it now, so they can. And they won't let the people. I mean, they've got 19 people that they're not going to let them go. They are political prisoners. They are not going to let them go. They can say they did this and did that, but they're being held because of. Uh, I mean, where are they going? They're known all over the country.
Well, the
They
thing
know those
is,
people. Yeah, they know those people are not going to go anywhere. I
the
mean,
power. What you're saying is the power of the pen. The only you know the power of the First Amendment. The only way they can keep this from growing is to keep them locked up.
right? They can't.
It's
Well,
not
that's
going to work. It's not going to work. It's
no,
just
it's
not going to
not.
work.
No, because too many people are spreading the message.
Yeah. It's like wildfire now, honestly. I see more and more groups, people I've never even seen before doing this kind of stuff now, which is great.
I do too. And more people are asking questions, and that's the reason why I think they've probably accelerated their push, their forward motion.
Well, I don't think they can win. I don't think it's possible.
Well, not to put in the kind of restrictions they're going to have to put in to limit people to where they can win. People are not going to do it.
No. I mean, do they have an invading army? You know what
Well,
I'm saying? Because that's what it's going to take.
absolutely.
Technically, they do, though. I mean, it's not invading; it's already here. They've been building it slowly, but surely they've been building their army of useful idiots that believe the propaganda, believe the lies, who are brainwashed to believe that communism is going to save them, socialism is going to save them, and it couldn't be further from the truth. They don't realize that their entire heritage, the entire, the whole moral and and historical basis that our country was based on is being eroded and destroyed right there and before our eyes without anybody paying attention.
Yep. They're good at it. This is not the first civilization that they've done this to. That, like you said, I don't know whether it's the lizard people or a spiritual thing, but there's some driving factor out there that keeps this agenda
Oh
alive.
yeah, it can be documented that history works in cycles, and these cycles are very prevalent when you take the known history, and people have done this. Professors, philosophers, very smart people have done this. Smarter than me, have laid everything out, every event that is known to man, put it on a timeline, put a time and date to it, and made a scale, so to speak, and then you can see a pattern there. And what it is every so often, mankind de-evolves. We de-evolve. Our civilizations de-evolve to back to like hunter-gatherer, brutalistic,
Tribalism.
Exactly, anarchism.
That's just like the Dark Ages that humankind went through,
Right.
And honestly, it looks like that's coming again if we don't do something.
Yeah, and the dumbing down of society, with the everything from remote controls to cell phones.
Right.
Everything's easy. Nobody knows how to look anything up in a book.
And now they got this shit to where these low intensity electrical fields and stuff, and these energy fields, these energy weapons, because that's really what they are. Like flicker weights, for instance, is a good example. Well, they can do that with Wi-Fi, people. They can do that with ELF, extremely low frequencies. They can put you in a sedative state to where you're more susceptible to absorb information, whether you know it consciously or not consciously. It's going into your brain, and you're being programmed. And it doesn't work on everybody, because I believe that's why there's people like us sitting here bitching about it. But it works on enough of them to where you have a...
Yeah, if they cut the internet off right now and didn't turn it back on for 6 months, people would. I mean, nobody has a dictionary anymore.
Right.
Nobody has a paper dictionary. They can do everything on the internet. They cut it off. Man, people are dumb. They don't remember phone numbers. They don't remember addresses because it's in their little cell phone. But if they smash all that out, wow, you backed up several years.
Right.
Several.
Is that devolving or evolving? Is that people evolving to merge with computers?
Well, you're not doing it yourself. You're literally, depending on something else to do your remembering for you.
Well, I believe that they want that to make that become a part of you.
Well, it's true. I mean, they write about it, the Technocrats. and that's a real term, people. Technocrat. Right? If you don't know that term, look it up. Look up who they are. They believe that they're going to merge with machines. They believe they're going to merge with this new high-tech technology. And it's not in the future. This is not future talk. This is here already. This is here. They're doing this. They want to be able to not just transfer their brain, all their knowledge and their personality. They want to transfer their consciousness, their soul, people. They believe they can transfer their consciousness. That gets into some deep shit right there. Think about that. How could you transfer your consciousness? And that these people are sick, man.
Obviously, they believe that it's possible.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Is they believe it's possible.
And that's what they 24/7. They've got people. They are padding their pockets to work on it 24/7.
Right.
Well, the thing is they've actually broken down the mathematics of the whole universe, and it all breaks down the computer code, every last bit of it.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, then you could get into some really strange stuff.
Everything, all the way down to the microns, is intelligent design.
Yep. Well, it's just like the most powerful microscopes. It breaks it down to pixels.
Right.
I mean, there's some really interesting information out there. I mean, there's a lot of interesting theories too, like the holographic universe.
Yeah, what I was referring to though was how people are taking all this technology as a given, and it's fragile. it could go away.
Yeah.
You know, it's so fragile. Boom, 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 a couple explosions.
Well, the thing is, there's enough of us still alive that know how to do without it.
Right.
I don't think it would be devastating right now. But once we are gone,
It'll be critical.
it'll be catastrophic.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've got these planners and combines and all this stuff now that'll you can program it satellite. Freaking, it'll go out in the field and do it for you.
Yes, sir. Those hay cutters do that. They go out and they run a grid.
Yep.
And
Kenworth has semi trucks that drive themselves now.
And that's just it. They're creating a system where they don't need humans at all. People they won't even need them to protect them. They won't need them to fight their wars. They won't need them for anything. What do they need them for? That's why they term us useful idiots. Useful eaters. They call us useful eaters or useless eaters. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they won't need us for the war, but we will suffer the consequences of the war.
Well, it's about the plan calling. I mean, that's bottom line. They're figuring out ways through manipulation, through propaganda, the whole propaganda being turned, words being used against us as weapons, to trick us into accepting the elimination of most of the people on this planet.
Well, they're saying driverless cars by 2033. So, is that 16 years, 15?
They actually have the new Kenworth. It can drive while the driver sits in the seat. You get it up to speed going down the highway. You can actually turn the seat sideways, go in the back, and get your computer, and sit back down in the seat. And this truck's driving itself down the freaking highway.
Whoa.
So really, I mean, what are you from there? 10 years off from it getting on its baby feet? It's on its baby feet right now. You know what I mean?
The Google car's been driving itself for like, what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, they're saying driverless cars by 2033. I don't know whether you'll have to have some kind of a country road only permit. You're not allowed to drive your own car on the interstate.
Well, let's elaborate on that too. They're saying a lot of things about the 2030s. Okay, they're saying a lot of things about the next 10 years. That's going into the 2020s. People don't realize that we're being like we were talking about. We're being steered. They've already decided your future, folks. You don't have a say in it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't have a vote. Whether you want to believe it or not, you don't have a vote in your future. And they've already determined, boards of people sitting around a fucking boardroom have already determined your future, your kids' futures, and their kids' futures. And guess what? There's way less of you, and you're not free.
And the communism is the system that they choose.
Yes, exactly. And as Obama went to communist fucking Cuba, a tyrant state, and stated, "Oh, we need a merger of communism and capitalism." Duh, duh, duh.
Well,
I fucking stupid that is, people. What the fuck?
Yeah, I tell you what, they're working on faster than anything though, and it's a catch-up race. They're trying to catch each other. Is your Terminator robots, your autonomous security? Yeah. Where they can, because the Americans jumping up and down right now because Russia has these little tracked recon, unmanned recon vehicles that patrols their missile bases and basically probably destroys anything that's inside the final protective wire.
Yeah, I would say you probably have 5 seconds to put your hands up or you're gone.
Either that or once you're in there, you're done,
Yeah.
So,
well, it'll be a computer screen. There'll be some asshole sitting behind a fucking computer desk, and a little robot's profile will pop up on his computer screen and go, "Hey, it's got a target. Should it fire?" And it'll show a little picture of the target, and he'll fucking push the button, yes or no. Until at such point they have the AI in place and so advanced that it'll be, and they're already talking about this, it'll be making the decisions.
I believe that it might already exist to...
Well, they already have that on airplane. There's aircraft, drones that are already doing that on some level. They're making autonomous decisions.
Well, they have poured money. The defense industry has poured money into this robotic war machine they've got going because it doesn't have any morals, and it will not disobey orders.
Right. Yeah, and it's very, they're very accurate. They don't get fatigued. Their guns are stabilized, gyroscopically stabilized. They can shoot you at 1,000 yards plus in the eyeball, if they choose. They could write their name in your chest with bullets. These things are highly advanced and highly dangerous. That's why you have people like professors and physicists coming out and stating that weaponizing and giving these robots AI is extremely stupid. And that's what they're saying. Well, Stephen Hawkins came out and said that. Some other famous people have too.
Once they give them the ability to actually rebuild themselves or produce, yeah, that would be, it could be catastrophic for men. It could actually look at us like a cancer.
Right. So you're talking about something that they're openly wanting to create that's constantly learning at a rate that's constantly getting faster and faster. So quickly, they're already stating these AI machines will be smarter than humans, the smartest humans on the planet, by 10 billion%. It'll be unmeasurable how smart these things are. Okay, and if they're making everything autonomous, you damn right they could fucking. It's just a bad idea all around. It's a bad idea. You don't give something like that a tool to bite its owner, to bite the hand that feeds it.
To destroy life.
Right.
Well, the unmanned vehicles that are people controlled, they don't worry me. What worries me is the people that control them.
Yeah.
If you had moral people over these UAVs and stuff like that, it would be different. But they're not. You're getting calls made by people that don't care. They're following the money. They're making their payday. They're keeping their job. There's nothing moral about it. They don't have any say in it. They just do it. And that goes all the way to the top to who said.
Right, because, and it gets back into what we were talking about in the beginning of the chat, that propagandization, that political correctness that's taken over the universities. So these people go to these universities, they're propagandized with this shit that humans are scum and animals are above humans, and that human life is worthless, and yada yada yada. And they have the moral high ground, and they can kill you, blah blah blah. They're brainwashed with all this shit when they go to the universities. When they get out, they're put in their job, or they go to their fucking military job, and they're completely fucking. They're biological robots, obviously. People don't realize that they call television programming for a reason. It's not because they're programming you. Fucking, oh my god,
it's nothing really new. The only difference is the only place you used to hear about it was in the military.
Yeah.
Because when they'd send those guys through basic, they'd break them down and rebuild them. And now they're doing it with the preppy class and the liberals in the colleges. They're pushing down in their face what they want them to do, and convincing them through whatever sideline
psychological warfare. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's propagandized or technologically advanced psychological.
And they believe it too, buddy. They believe it just as strong as the Muslims believe they're going to get, 40 virgins.
Right. It's dangerous too. I mean, they're dangerous people. And people. Oh well, they're going to kill all the patriots. Well, there's think tanks like the shit that was linked to the Bill Ayers group. Wasn't it the Bill Ayers group and whatever the shit that came out in the 70s? I forget the gentleman's name that blew the whistle. Because he was talking about how they were. Damn it! I wish I knew his name. He was talking about how there was a plan for these elite people. We're discussing around a boardroom how to eliminate 25 million people.
The old saying goes, it's easy. It was easier to control 1 million people than to kill them. Now it's easier to kill them.
Than control, man.
Well, is it an old saying? Because from what I understand, that comes from Zbigniew Brzezinski, one of these people's fucking, they're philosophers, so to speak, or they're rulers. Yeah. I don't know. They're henchmen.
Part of the ruling class.
Yeah, Brzezinski said that.
Right. This is no different than king and queen stuff going on.
No.
Just in a different format.
It's a different format, and that's a very good point to put it. The Supreme Court is letting you know you are ruled that you have no freedom of speech, that they can fucking do what they will with you if you're a political threat to them. And that's where we're at in this country.
It's not a family now, or a generation of people. It's a country club.
Yeah. It's like Carlin said, it's a big club and you're not in it.
Right. Well, Mr. Quasar the White, we've been at it for a little over an hour. We've got 20-something people watching. You want to do a shout out there?
Yeah, I'm all right. You want to go?
Sure. Got shout out Stewart Design, Truth Breeze, of course the illustrious Dr. Dave. Dave, it's past midnight. You ain't turned into a pumpkin yet.
All right.
Let's see. We got poor Dr. Dave wearing it out tonight. We had J Watt in there. We had Sparks in there. Let's see. Go back up the line. I don't know how far that we're going to be keeping up with there. Stewart Design again. Moderate Observer. Thank all y'all for coming out and listening to our nonsense here. I guess you feel better when you blow off your steam a little bit. And thanks to the panel, Mr. Politically Incorrect, thank you for coming out and hanging out. And we have Quasar Nugs, and I'm Saint in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
You two guys, I consider you friends. I would be more than happy to help you guys do any projects.
Heck yeah.
Right on, brother. Yep. It's and we got to stick together as Americans. That's the thing. We got to realize what's going on as a whole, because we're a leaderless movement. This is an idea. Liberty's an idea. We don't need a leader. We need everybody understanding the rules of liberty, which are do no harm. And I think we'll be all right then.
I mean, fellas, think about it. If your ancestors, would they approve of what's going on right now? I mean, if you told your great granddad?
Honestly, man, I don't think our ancestors would have fought some of the wars that they had fought if they would have known what was going on.
No, absolutely
you
not.
know what I mean? They were also manipulated, just as we were manipulated. We're just now starting to crack the truth. You know what I'm saying?
That's right, and it's. I mean, for so long, there's been so much. The story's been narrated to their liking, not to the truth. It's been, they're setting the storyline that this is this and this is that, and it's not. It's a lie. It's a bunch of lies.
Right. It's lies stacked on top of lies.
It goes all the way from hometown America with the corruptness in the police department to the federal confiscation laws. By the way, last year the law enforcement actually took more money from the public than the thieves did. That was like 10 to 1 that the government confiscated with confiscation laws versus what was stolen by criminals. So who's the criminal? All the way down to the private-owned prison systems that you get fined if you don't send them prisoners. Isn't that an incentive to go out and arrest people for absolutely no reason? I mean, it's running from hometown to all the way to the top.
Yeah.
I said something about Meigs County, Ohio, and that's one of their things over there. They keep people that shouldn't even be in jail, because the more people they keep in there, the more funding they get from the federal government.
Absolutely.
Well, it's just like the school system.
They set their bonds so freaking high, they don't have a chance at bonding out. And the bail bondsman is the judge's freaking brother-in-law.
Well, that sounds like the Oregon deal. You got BLM judge kin to the sheriff that worked for so-and-so that, I mean, they're all tied together, and they're all Masons, which I'm not bashing the Masons, but they stick together like glue.
Well, that's just it, man. They're informed and they pay attention, and there's the people that play chess and there's the people that play checkers, and it seems like the American public is still playing fucking checkers. They're not seeing ahead of themselves. They're not seeing what's going on in the future. They're not seeing they want to believe that America cannot be harmed. We're invincible, and that everybody loves us in the world. And there's nobody out there in the world, even in our own within our own borders, that would ever harm us. How fucking delusional is that to live like that, to think like that? That's like believing your doors and windows open all the time because you believe no one will ever hurt me. I'm invincible. Ah, ah, ah. You know, it's fucking they're delusional.
Hey, one thing about it, just these politics is shown in this little election coming up is that the liberals actually have teeth. You know,
Yeah,
they have
exactly.
teeth. Yeah, they're not all these loving peace, hug the tree, pet the kitty cat people. They got teeth. They're being ugly. They're throwing punches.
And they're punching people at rallies and shit, and then trying to use the Hegelian dialectic, Orwellian fucking propaganda to say that they attack them, that they're the victim. That's all fucking upside down, and people believe.
Absolutely. Nugs, check internal there, bub. Yeah, it's really, really. I mean, if you open your eyes and just look at the number of crazy restrictions that are on people now versus 40, 50, 60 years ago, it's just unbelievable. Well, there's more people. Well, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be more people, as long as people are having other people until they genocide everybody. I don't know. But yeah, we still got 22 people watching. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. We're probably going to shut this down in just a few minutes. So I think we've lost Sir Nugs of Quasar White again.
You know, the JFK speech about the grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon. You know, that speech right there, that's what I see going on today.
Well, it got him put in the grave. They've got a death grip on it, and they're not letting up. People might think they've got a little time, but the people that are moving out there to restrict and regulate, they're working on it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Some people in the military are working on it, and they don't even know they're working on it because it's so department. You know, they've got it cut up so many different ways.
Absolutely. And they've got a bunch of people working on a bunch of different things that doesn't mean anything till it all comes together.
Well, that's one way they keep secrecy
Absolutely.
on some of these projects. But that JFK speech about the increased need for security, that is exactly what's going on today.
Yeah. Well, it's the compartmentalization that right there. That, and that also leads to good guys and bad guys.
Right. They have their system of tyranny that depends on there being a bad guy.
Absolutely.
There always has to be a bad guy. Always.
Right.
Really, after World War II was fought and over with, all sides were pretty exhausted. It would have been a good time to make peace in the world. But, oh no, we couldn't do that. We had to see who got what.
Right. Well, that's what they're scared to death of Trump, because he literally says, we'll talk to these people. Why do we have to fight with them? They don't like that, man. That defense contractors, they don't like that. You got to be shooting missiles to sell missiles. They can't just build them and stack them up. They got to sell them. You got to fly those fighter jets. You got to run those tanks in and tear them up.
Right.
If you don't, we're gonna have to close down and start building stuff that we're having built in China. Well, you want to call it you want to throw in a towel, call it a done deal?
Yeah, I think we should do that. It's getting late, and we had a late chat start anyway. We just, I got some stuff off my chest. I'm okay. You good? Don, you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Everybody want to do a shout out.
Nah, we did enough.
All right.
I guess I'm gonna leave everyone with this quote. Say good night to everybody, and have a good April. A nation of well-informed men who have been taught to know and prize the rights of which God has given them cannot be enslaved. It is in the reign of ignorance that tyranny begins. Benjamin Franklin. And with that note, you guys have a good one. Look out for your back, and be happy.
Live free.
Live
Live
free.
free.
Saints, you got anything to say?
Live free.
That's it?
Check your leadership. Check your security. Finish up your finishing touches. And prepare for darkness.
Don?
I'm good, man.
All right. You folks have a good night. God bless.